Hi ladies, I wanted to come on here to talk about Ozempic. You probably heard this name before. It's a medication. It's a medication that is not cheap at all. In fact, I think per month in the US, about $1,000 to get it. Maybe the generics are a little bit cheaper. But basically, it's a drug that allows people to lose weight by stimulating GLP-1, and so that people feel less hungry and eat less. Now, great that we have these drugs if people need the help, and especially if they tried everything and their self-esteem is out of, in the dumps, and they just feel like they don't have the willpower and so on. And I can tell you that oftentimes it's not willpower. There is obviously there's a lot of um, unfortunately a lot of addiction to food and things in food, so we have to make sure that we eat well. But one of the main issues when people cannot stop eating and they eat very poorly is that they lack fiber, and I wanted to mention that one because fiber is nature's Ozempic. I know it's such a cliche thing to say, but although it's sensationalizing um, fiber, it's true, because fiber, just like Ozempic, it stimulates GLP-1, glucagon like peptides one, and it's a beautiful 30 amino acid hormone that basically will tell your brain that you're full and you don't need to eat more. Will also tell your stomach to release food slower, which means your blood glucose doesn't shoot up and goes down. It makes it really stable. And of course, we have spikes. I've talked about spikes before. Those are normal physiological responses, but fiber slows everything down, which means you're going to be fuller longer. You're going to be having more energy for longer. Then GLP-1 also tells your liver to stop making glucose. So you are in a state of healthy balance just because of fiber. Now, of the fiber I'm talking about, I'm specifically talking about the gelatinous fiber, so the non-soluble fiber, the one you find in foods like oats and chia seeds. And I'll talk about how you can implement those in your diet in a second. And so having fiber really does make a massive difference. Now, I can hear the people in the back saying, oh, but I can't have fiber because I have digestive issues and I need to be on this elimination diet that is basically all animal products, wada wada. Okay, I get it. And I'm actually quite empathetic to that, because I think, having had IBS, I know how it feels to have a terrible tummy. So I completely get it, especially when some people have even worse symptoms and they really can't eat anything. Now, in those cases, as I mentioned, I think in every video now, it's really necessary to work with a gastroenterologist and a dietitian to understand how to work through an elimination diet. Because the elimination diet is not something you can be on all of your life. The elimination diet is a pathway to heal your gut. So through that journey of eliminating, you also want to start adding, because reintroducing is part of that journey. Elimination is one, and then reintroduction is the other. Into the reintroduction phase, you're starting to bring in a little bit of fiber at the time so that your body gets used to it. By body, I mean your microbiome, the bacteria in your gut gets used to that food, so that it can grow slowly, and create a population of bacteria that can deal with that kind of fiber. Because every food we eat is a different bacteria, okay? Feeds a different bacteria. We as humans don't actually digest fiber. That's not something we do, but our bacteria does. And with that, they create short chain fatty acids like butyrate, and they they grow, they feed themselves, they thrive, and then they get all the stuff that is not supposed to be in our body out of our body through our rectum. So honestly, fiber is key, and if you're not pooping every day, we have a problem. And so please, and so we want to have fiber. And non-soluble fiber is brilliant for that. And I really feel like, we don't talk about it enough, and people don't have enough of it, which is really, really sad. You need to have about, some people say 12 to 20 grams per meal. I definitely think per day we need at least 45 grams, 40 grams. So what we need is a lots of vegetables and fruit. So fiber is good for us. And again, with the caveat that some people need more support, and we can provide that. This is for the general population who doesn't have extreme digestive disorders, okay? So what we need to do to avoid ourselves a bill of $1,000, but actually have a very cheap life with fruit and vegetables, is to eat the fruit and vegetables. So fiber in through your oats. Make sure that if you have oats, you pair it with nice nuts, butters, and something that actually, and fruit that will stop the glucose going too high. Now, of course, I come from the low fat camp because I reversed type 2 diabetes with that. High carbohydrates, low fat. I still keep it low fat, but lots of carbs, and to have my sugar really balanced. But things like seeds, a little bit sprinkled on your oats actually really help. A little bit of nut butter helps. Fruits like berries are amazing at regulating blood sugar, giving you more fiber. I mean, you name it. So nature has a way to package food in a beautiful way. And so when you have it smartly, it works. Chia seeds, you can put them in your smoothies, and as you blend them, they become bioavailable, just like lean seeds, or you can soak them overnight. And by the way, even with the oats, I always suggest soaking overnight. They become much more easy to digest, and also that fiber, the gelatinous fiber is there. Psyllium husk, if you really need a quick one, it's brilliant because it becomes a gel. You drink it and it goes exactly where it's supposed to go. Stops you from being super hungry, but also really gives you gut bacteria a nice little energy. So those things are awesome. And yeah, I can't speak enough about how fiber is powerful for our health. And study over study over study, meta-analysis, randomized controlled trials, you name it, they all talk about the importance of fiber and the positive impact on the body. Please do not fall on any camp that doesn't have these foods. Now, I know that some things maybe we don't want to have. Maybe some of us are more sensitive to grains, like I can have quinoa, buckwheat. Buckwheat, even I have to be actually quite wise with it, but quinoa I do really well with, and sometimes rice. But if I have too many of these grains, my body just doesn't like it. So and it's not the digestive system. I just feel not energetic. I feel sluggish. So I tend to have more the sweet potatoes, the potatoes, those kind of more starchy foods. And they work really, really well. But I've actually also noticed this. I'm coming from my own experience. If you don't have certain foods for a long time, your body won't be used to them anymore. So, for example, because I don't have access to a full kitchen all the time and I eat a lot of raw, I tend to not really want to have a lot of chickpeas and beans, but I like them. And when I have them, sometimes it causes me a bit of bloating. Now, I could be here blaming the beans, but actually it's not the beans the problem is. The problem is that I don't have them regularly enough for my microbiome to be used to them. So I'm slowly trying to insert them more and more, even if it's 1 tablespoon at a time, into my diet so that I can digest them when I have them. So that's really what I have to be aware of and wise with, and it's perfectly fine. I can tell you a very funny one. I went to a restaurant with a friend and I had 4 serving spoons of beans. They were not very big, but they were white beans. The next morning, I woke up with a belly that was like a little pouch, and it was really, really hard. And I was like, this is interesting. I didn't have pain. I didn't even have gas, but it was like this little pouch. And then it took me a few hours to get rid of it by doing some twists and movements. And I went to the gym, and then I went, to do my business, and then it was fine. But I realized that it was because I don't have those things enough. And so, hey, my body was like, hello, that's a lot of fiber in here that we haven't had in a while. Although I eat a lot of fiber from veggies and fruit, every day, like all day, every day. So but it was an interesting one. So do not blame the food. Just be aware that sometimes you need to train your gut, that muscle, to work with that particular fiber kind. Okay. Have a great evening. If you have any questions, please put them below and just tell me about your experience with fiber. Tell me about your digestive system. Tell me about if you heard of Ozempic and what you think about it. Bye.